Dolphins fans, you're watching Dolphins Today. I am your host, Will Scott. And on today's show, we're going to be getting into a draft meetings tracker. We got the NFL draft less than a week away. We're going to tell you every single prospect that the Miami Dolphins have met with. And we are going live for the 2023 NFL draft. We're going to be live during day 2 when the Dolphins are making their first picks. So be sure to subscribe for Dolphins draft content. We're going to have you covered on draft day, also the days leading up to the draft. So hit the subscribe button below. As we begin with a running back, Kendre Miller, the TCU product. He has met with the Miami Dolphins, and he was a superstar on that Horned Frog team that went to the national championship game. Now, he suffered a knee injury in the semifinal game against Michigan, but his recovery's going well. He's been a little bit cautious, hasn't done a whole lot in terms of workouts and whatnot leading up to the draft, but he is going to be healthy by the season, and I really like Kendre Miller as a prospect. Now, the Dolphins have been linked to Dalvin Cook, but if they don't sign Dalvin Cook or don't trade for Dalvin Cook, then maybe they will draft a running back next week and might do so early in the second or the third round. The Dolphins also could maybe look to add some depth on the defensive line. Deslin Alexandre, the Pittsburgh product. He has met with the Dolphins, had 5.5 sacks, 29 tackles at Pittsburgh this past season. Garrett Nelson out of Nebraska. The Dolphins did meet with him. Also 5.5 sacks, 9 tackles for loss for the Cornhuskers last season. Really like this next guy. DeMarvion Overshown, the linebacker out of Texas. So he actually met with the Dolphins at the Combine and then had a private workout with them after the Combine. 96 tackles, 10 tackles for loss at Texas this past year, 4 sacks, 5 pass breakups. This could be a third-round target here, so you could address the bigger need like offensive line or tight into the second round and then add to that linebacker room in the third round. But Overshown, if you want him, probably have to take him in the third round. You do not have a fourth-round pick. Another running back the Dolphins met with was Deneric Prince, the running back from Tulsa. Really like Prince here as a prospect, 729 yards, 5 touchdowns, might be a day 3 guy. And when you take a look at the Dolphins' running back room, they did re-sign all 4 of their running backs. So maybe they don't feel like running back is a huge need and aren't going to draft a running back. Or maybe if they do draft a running back, we'll do so later in the draft. Maybe that's where they will add Prince. Will the Dolphins draft a running back? Type Y for yes or type in for no down in the comment section. They have 4 picks. Are they going to use one of those picks on a running back? Let me know down in the comment section. I think they are definitely going to use one of those picks on a tight end, and they did meet with Sam LaPorta, who was fantastic in his last 2 seasons at Iowa. And keep in mind, this was with no passing game, no offense. Iowa was known for not having a good offense this past season. He still tallied over 100 receptions, over 1,300 yards the last 2 seasons in 26 games with 4 touchdowns. Really like LaPorta, and I think there's a strong chance that he's the pick for the Dolphins at number 51 overall. Now, I am assuming if you're watching this video, you probably care about the NFL draft. Well, show that you care by subscribing to our brand new NFL draft channel, youtube.com/chatnfl. Got a lot more draft content over there. It's exclusively an NFL draft channel, only draft content. Go and check it out. That sub link is in the comments and the description of today's video. Titus Leo, the defensive lineman out of Wagner, met with the Dolphins. Wagner College up in New York. And believe it or not, actually watched this guy play in college. He played Syracuse. I was at that game in 2021. Don't know a whole lot about him. I think he might be flying under the radar here because he's an FCS product, but he did have 52 tackles this past season for Wagner. Tucker Kraft. The Dolphins met with my guy. I want this guy in Miami, man. I really like him. The tight end out of South Dakota State, and he's flying under the radar a little bit because he's an FCS product. Taking a look at the Dolphins' tight end room, only 3 tight ends right now. I think it's extremely likely that the Dolphins are either going to draft a tight end in the second round or in the third round. And a couple of y'all have asked me, should we take a tight end in the second or third? It really depends on who's available in the second round. If you have Darnell Washington or Sam LaPorta on the board there, and you're not crazy about some of the offensive linemen there, then take a tight end in the second round. Maybe go running back or offensive line third round. It really, for me, just depends who's on the board. But you are going to have some decent tight end prospects available at pick 54. Tucker Kraft might be one of those guys, and I do believe Brenton Strange might be on the board as well. Speaking of tight ends, Darnell Washington, the tight end out of Georgia. Again, this is the only guy I'm willing to trade up for. Destroyed the NFL Combine. Had a really good season for Georgia in 2022 on that national championship team. 454 yards, 2 touchdowns for Darnell Washington this past season at Georgia. Favorite tight end prospect this year? Let me know down in the comment section. Is it Darnell Washington? Is it Tucker Kraft? Is it Sam LaPorta? For me, it's Darnell, but those are probably my top 3 more realistic options, Darnell, Tucker, and Sam LaPorta. As for a defensive back option, Kendre Smith, the defensive back from the University of Kentucky, 46 tackles and 2 interceptions for the Wildcats this past season. The Dolphins don't need to draft a defensive back, but maybe Smith could be there in day 3. Luke Musgrave, the Dolphins did meet with the Oregon State tight end, who, it's interesting because I've seen mock drafts that have him going around 1. I've also seen mock drafts that have him going late 2nd. So I don't know where Musgrave is going to end up. I don't think he's a super realistic option for the Dolphins, but he's very intriguing all of a sudden if he falls to 51 overall to Miami. Carl Brooks, the defensive tackle out of Bowling Green. Miami did meet with him. 50 tackles. Get these numbers. 50 tackles, 18 tackles for loss, 10 sacks this past season at Bowling Green. Has some versatility. Can't play the inside. Can't play the outside. Probably going to be an interior defensive lineman in the NFL. And right now, the Dolphins do not have a backup interior defensive lineman behind Raekwon Davis. They have to add some more depth there, and I expect them to do that in the draft. Maybe they'll take Brooks. Staying with the defensive line, Shaquille Brown, the edge rusher out of Troy. He had 4 sacks for Troy this past season, and he did meet with the Dolphins, as well as Xavier Valladay, the running back from Arizona State. Over 1,900 yards, 16 touchdowns, as producer Jack Lauderay is doing the forks up sign, the Arizona State grad producer we have here at Chat Sports. Led the Pac-12 with 12 rushing touchdowns this past season. Really good running back, and would have a tremendous amount of value if he fell to the Dolphins in the 6th round. Who do you want the Dolphins to draft? Let me know down in the comments section. You can say a name that's maybe not realistic, like Darnell Washington, because who knows, maybe the Dolphins will look to trade up. But again, if you're talking about tight ends, I think Sam LaPorta and Tucker Kraft might be more realistic options for Miami. But let me know who you want the Dolphins to draft down in the comment section. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. We're going live for the NFL Draft. Hope to see you there. We'll post more info about our coverage next week, but we are going live for the 2023 NFL Draft here on Dolphins Today.